of Mr. Allard's Neighborhood. This is the place where you're entitled to Brad's opinion. And now for your host, Brad Allard.
Hello. Hello. I'm a little bit sickly today. Not really sick.
Do the other voice. That was more fun.
You like the other voice?
I do. Come on, Taylor.
You want to hear the other voice? So it's, the chick's going to bounce next time.
Yeah, you can see we're taking this pretty seriously today. Do you hear yourself all right?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm not hearing myself.
I can turn yourself up more.
Just a touch.
Tell me when.
Turn yourself up more.
Yeah, okay. There's just maybe my ears are clogged. No, now it's too loud. Anyway, we got Jennifer here. Jennifer Woods is going to talk both about Harvest House, big events coming up, and also about her venture with Legal Shield.
Yes.
And that's interesting. How long have you been doing that?
Just a couple months. But
Okay.
There's a story behind it.
Yeah, I want to hear the story. I want to hear what they do, and how you're going to coordinate these two duties together, and all this other stuff. But you also have that big event coming in April,
Yes, we do. Very exciting.
and was it Vines and Vibes or
Vineyard Vibes.
yeah.
At Lost Oak Winery.
Yeah,
We'll talk about it.
Yeah, we'll talk about all these things. Go ahead and get with the sponsors because, well, why not? Thank you, Otto at Our Place. I was there just about an hour and a half ago. I was having breakfast with one of my B&I buddies. I think you've met him, Greg Williams from Schoolie Mitchell.
Uh-huh.
Okay, we were just having a meeting, visiting, and food's great, service is great, very comfortable place. I really like Our Place. I mean, I know I'm supposed to say that, but I really do like it.
I do too.
So.
I've never had a bad meal there or bad service ever.
And now he's got that pizza joint coming up. And
Yes.
I'm trying to get him on the show, but it's hard to get Otto around because
He's in Chicago right now, I think.
I asked his son Ryan this morning, is he back? He got home late last night.
I think Ryan needs to be on the show because he's probably more available.
He is. That's a good idea. I think I'll ask him.
Start kicking Otto.
Yeah, Otto's pretty busy, he really is. But also thank you to Chris over at Wild Cigar, and Chris and Nathan. They had the playoffs on last weekend. They'll have the championship games on this Sunday. They'll have the Super Bowl. I'm going to drop by there in the next couple of days to find out exactly what they got going on, but I'm sure it's a bunch. They like to kind of tie in events like have cigar vendors or specials there with sporting events. Even though they're not really a sports bar as such, they do cater to that clientele, and I like it. I've watched some sports. I watched a few of the Ranger games over there. And it's you can actually talk. That's a nice thing.
Baseball season. Almost here.
Yeah. Also, thank you to Tiffany at Local Life. She's going to be around. I've been trying to get her on the show, but she's really booked and I'm really booked. I'll talk about that at the end of the show. I got a couple of guests coming up that I'm really excited about. But anyway, they got their new magazine. Our new issue will be out in about 10 days. And I believe it's on real estate. I know this one's on medical providers, medical services, things of that nature. So that's always going to be a good magazine. You were on it were you on the cover?
December.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
And that was it really was great for Harvest House, just getting some information out so people understand. We had a lot of new donors that I think really came through there. I mean, I can't prove it, but there was an influx, and that was really neat because a lot of people read it.
I like to think it's because I was pushing it on the show, but that's fine.
That too.
Yeah, it's okay. Anyway, on to the next one.
December was a really big month for us. It was good.
That's good to hear.
Yeah, it was really good.
I heard that from a couple of other your peers that they were able to achieve some financial goals, and that's a good thing.
Yeah.
Also, thank you to Southern Jim. They got an event coming on the 8th you might be excited about, Bourbon and Bling, so you can take Mr. Woods over there, and he can, have a couple of decent bourbons. And they are going to be good stuff because Gayla's very traditional Southern. They're having a big deal on Kentucky Derby Day in May.
Oh.
Yeah, hats and everything. But, you go there, you're not going to get the cheap stuff. And you go over there, and the men could have bourbon while the ladies go shop. And
I actually have a ring I need to go pick up. She fixed.
Yeah. See, there you go.
Yep.
Yeah. And so they'll be open regular hours, but keep February 8th open. Also, thank you to Two Maids. This is a new one for us. They started just about 3 weeks ago. Brenda Ramirez and her brother run it, but Brenda really runs it. But she's very impressive. And what Two Maids does is they do cleaning, both private residences and offices and industrial places and, all the other stuff. But they don't just charge like an hourly rate. They basically will have a situation where they come and clean, and you rate them, and then you pay them based on they'll charge you based on the rating.
Wow.
Okay, so that they're very motivated. Yeah. So if you want to call Brenda, 817-764-0733. That's 817-764-0733. Or it's at twomaidescleaning.com/Burleson. And give them a shot, and if you like what they do, then you pay based on that.
Interesting.
And a lot of the B&I people use them for not just their homes, but their businesses, and they, like Gayla, and they just love her. So there you go. Also, thank you to Old Pro Roofing, John Williams, 817-734-2756. It's not just Burleson. They do a lot of stuff throughout DFW. John does a lot of mileage on that truck. They had, last week he was telling me he had a job going on in Mesquite as well as one in the DFW area up in north, I believe in Coppell. And so he's keeping them pretty busy. But they're a Burleson company, so you ought to talk to them if you need some roofing repairs or a new roof and whatnot. When it's raining like it is now, I don't have to worry about my roof because he said it was good. So That's nice to know. Thank you, John. Also, our friends over at Camco, Sammy Campbell and Candy Gow, they'll help you out with refinancing if you need it, help you with your new mortgage. They've been doing this in Burleson for well over two decades. This is their first venture together, private business. They worked for others for all those years, and they did 2 refinancings for me under various hats. And so they're good people to work with. They know what they're talking about, and they'll hold your hand through all the questions you'll have. 817-778-4592 will get you Sammy. And if for Candy, 817-925-2661. It's interesting. I want to also drop this in there. It's interesting you're doing your event at Lost Oak in April. There's another one going on February 2nd. Jessica Valley Reams is having one at Lost Oak as well. The Snowman Smash, he calls it. And basically it's going to be a fundraiser for Fitability TX. And she'll be on the show on the 1st of February. This event's on the 2nd. So she's come back on to, promote it some more. But I've been kind of helping her push it along. And it's helped her raise money. There's tables still available. There's tickets available. Get some of the wine proceeds will go toward the event. Lost Oak, I guess, is becoming a place to have these kind of events, aren't they?
It's a really nice spot.
Yeah. I've been there for a couple of these kind of events. Also, I've been there for a couple, wedding parties or something like that, and stuff like that. And it's a nice place and a very pretty venue.
Yeah.
Which do you want to talk about first, Legal Shield or Harvest House? It's up to you.
Let's talk about Harvest House.
Okay, let's talk about Harvest House. What do you got going on?
So Harvest House, we really did have a great end of year. We actually beat our fundraising goals for the year, which is always nice. We do a 0 balance budget, and when you beat that, it's really nice. So it just helps us to kick off the year. So 2024, we're really focusing on our restoration of our community, and what that means is helping people with long-term assistance. And I think we've talked about it a little bit, but this is really a focus. We're writing grants for it. And so we have this long-term stabilization program that we've implemented. We've had a lot of success stories. I say a lot. I mean, it's been like 4 or 5, but that's really a lot when you talk to people. So we started working with one family. I'm trying to remember if it was summer of 2019 or 2020. I really can't remember. I think it was 2019. They actually moved out of state, and she just... I don't know if you get my newsletter, but at the end of the year, she popped in almost right at the end of the year, and I almost didn't recognize her because she looked so fantastic, so healthy. She had been living in a house instead of in her car. She had been there for a good solid year of living in a home and just getting health insurance and taking care of herself. And she brought in her husband's letters of recommendation just to show like how well they're doing, because he's maintenance, and it's just so exciting. But it takes time and it takes money to wrap around families like this. This is a lady I shared about. She had been human trafficked. She had literally people trying to kill her. I mean, it sounds like fake.
I know. I remember that you telling us
Yep.
that story. Yeah.
And you just think, there's no way.
Yeah.
I mean, you really just, I mean, we worked with the police department to verify things. They had their identity theft. She had people who took out life insurance policies on her and then tried to kill her. It's just like weird. It sounds like a TV show, but it really happened. So like, even when they first moved, we didn't tell I still won't tell anybody where they moved to because of those things. But man, she just popped in and she was, I promise you, I didn't even recognize her. And then we've just had a few others, like people who are homeless that just need help getting restored. We've had recently a gentleman who got out of prison and, got a job and got into like some payday loans and things, just trying to survive. And we didn't pay off his payday loan, but we were able to help him with his rent and some other things. And he's just doing great, but like he'd been in prison for like 15 years and had really trying to get his life in order and try to be successful and be a good part of the community. And the world changed, he didn't even know what the cloud was or what's spam or, just so many things that we take for granted. But 15 years, think about what's happened in a year.
Oh, I feel his pain. When I started a new part-time contract job with a curriculum design company, and they had me fill out a bunch of stuff online Thursday and Friday. I was bewildered, and it wasn't really hard. I just had to. It's just if you're not in it every day, and you're just going to get blown away. And I mean, there's like this Slack account and this account and that. I hadn't even heard of some of these, but you need to get all set up with that. And blah 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 blah. And I'm like, somebody help me! I'm an old man, And I just felt, and I looked at the IT staff, and they're all kids, right?
Yep.
So I feel that guy's pain. I know exactly what he's talking about.
It's been neat because he came in, he got his pay after we helped him with his rent so he could get his payday loan paid off and all this stuff. And he came in with his receipt when he paid off the payday loan, which I think should be illegal, but that's a whole different story.
I was going to ask you about that, but I'll let you finish your story. But I was going to ask you about that.
His landlord actually came in and just said, thank you so much for helping him, because the landlord saw that this was a good guy. And, a lot of people make mistakes and really do get rehabilitated and really want to do better. And so that's what he's doing. It's just trying to live. And so that's been exciting. And, there's other stories. We shared a gentleman who came in with a CPS worker. He had actually, his ex-wife left. She had gotten involved with drugs and stuff like that. But he not only adopted his child and took them into custody, but his wife's other kids. And then right after he took custody of all three of them, only one of them being his, he got laid off. But the CPS worker came in as an advocate because this guy is just a real stand-up guy trying to do the right thing. And we see stories like this. It's just crisis. And how do we help people, once you get laid off or have a medical emergency? I mean, I could tell you story after story after story, but how do we help them get on track, stay on track? Because right now we know that there is a housing crisis. Period. The end. There is nothing else to say. And studies show that people who have become homeless said it was a $500 a month difference for most of them that would have prevented them from being homeless.
I was going to ask you about those payday loans. I know the state of Texas has been looking at them with a great deal of skepticism because I fortunately, I've never had to deal with that. So what exactly happens here?
So let's say you come in and I don't know the total ins and outs of it and stuff, but they'll have 400% or 500% interest rates on it. So if let's say I need to borrow $100, okay, so the interest rate is 300%. So I owe you 300.
Are you not exaggerating?
No, I'm not exaggerating.
It really is 300%.
Yeah.
Holy that's the mafia. You'd be embarrassed to ask for that.
If that happens, so if I can't pay off the full amount, like if I just come back with my $100, then I owe you 300. And if I only pay 100, then it like starts over and it adds. So like if I owed you 300, I only paid you 100. So now I owe you 600. And it just goes up, and my math may be a little off. So if somebody really understands the ins and outs of it, I'm sorry, I'm not an expert. This is just kind of from afar what I've seen.
Wow.
I actually had one person that we did pay off her payday loan because of the situation she was in, and it was about the amount of rent. But we not done that, she never would have gotten out of it. There's just no way. But she was working, and it was a single mom, and it was just like, and that is not something I even advertise, but we did it this one time because it was so severe, and watching her and what her situation was, and she had got a job, and she put it all behind her, and now she's fine, but it was that one thing that sometimes can just sink you forever. And you should bring somebody in to talk about payday loans, because I don't know. And we talked to somebody one time about the need for something like that, because a lot of people in poverty and crisis don't have anywhere else to go. They can't go to a bank.
Right.
And so there has to be a way to make them less mafia-like, because there is a benefit. A lot of them are title. And so a lot of times you give them your title, your car, and so then you lose your car or whatever. But there's got to be somewhere in between. They're super high-risk loans. We get it. I'm sure they lose a lot of it. But there has to be something in between where people who really can't get a bank loan, but like the way that this goes, it's, we've seen a lot of people and we're like, sorry, we can't help you with that, and we don't. And unless it's like, no, we just don't. That one time was such an unusual thing, but we saw how it would help this lady completely get ahead. We generally, honestly, only pay rent, mortgage, water, and things that are absolute necessities, like getting your driver's license, social security card. Sometimes that's like $35 that's preventing you from getting a job because you can't pay that fee to get your driver's license, or a social security card, or a new birth certificate, or whatever that might be. And if you don't have that, you can't work. And so those are some things that we do, and we try to be flexible. We try really hard to just stick to our basics of rent, mortgage, and those sorts of things. But our focus is on how do we restore people. And so one of the things we're looking for are people who can come and help. We think about Maslow's hierarchy, I'm not talking about budgeting. Yes, budgeting somewhere in there, it's probably about level 10 or 15 that needs to be done. But when you've so for me personally, that kind of goes into what I'm going to talk about next, but I've been in crisis for the last couple of years. I've lost my mom, and then my stepmom went in hospice. And so I was basically taking care of her and my dad from Minnesota to Alaska for a little over a year. Then my dad passed unexpectedly, and then my stepmom passed unexpectedly. And, since Christmas, we've had some time off, and I've had time to kind of unravel the onion, if you will, of emotions. And I'm like, oh my gosh, maybe I've been a little bit of a jerk to people who think I've been a jerk, or maybe I've been a little this or that or whatever. But until you actually can stop and feel whatever you need to feel, you just keep moving. And so I think a lot of times with our families in crisis, what about, that's why they have art therapy and stuff. What about crafts? What about learning how to crochet or plant a garden, or a skill like how to cook, or something that's fun and that's meaningful? Because once people feel good about themselves, they have shelter, they have all that, they know that they're safe, they know where their food's coming from. And then they have to have some value in themselves. They have to feel like, I'm okay, I'm worth living, I'm worth investing in myself. They're not going to get ahead until they feel some security. And I believe that comes from, lots of skills. And so, I've talked to people, it doesn't have to be, yes, at some point and we do offer financial budgeting classes and stuff, because that's part of the whole thing. But you can't really get there. If you've ever been in crisis, you can't get there until you have, just some peace. Until you can stop your brain from going 100 miles an hour. And a lot of people just can't do that.
Well, I'm just thinking, if you can't focus on anything bigger than just what's in front of your face if you can't pay your bills, right?
Absolutely.
And now we're in the winter season. I'm sure electric bills are going to be something you're going to be
They're
throwing.
already ridiculous.
Yeah.
Gas bills have gone up.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, oh, normally that gas bill, when it went up, the electric bill went down, and I'm like, okay, neither of these really moved.
Yeah.
It's going to be expensive this month.
Well, yeah, in February is the coldest month in Texas every year. And so you're going to have a lot of that going on. And of course, then get the summer issues and whatnot.
Yep.
And, so I'm glad you had a good December, because my bet is you're going to find a need for it. It seems like in my personal finances, if I get it, an unexpected amount of money come my direction, I'm thinking, okay, there's a bill coming after. And that's exactly what happened with me just recently. You know, I got some money that came in, and then the lawnmower needed repair. And
Absolutely.
so, you know, and it's expensive, right?
Yep.
So it went a lot of money either way, but it just was like God provided. It's like
100%.
Can you have okay, God? Can we just do the gift of the money and skip the bill part? Yeah. But it doesn't work that way, does it?
It doesn't. But, you know, I mean, I know it does for some people. But, you know, so we have our Vineyard Vibes event coming up on April 14th.
Yes, I believe you have to send us a
Yeah. And so
stuff. Yeah.
right now, so we just changed donor management systems literally Friday. It finally went through. It was supposed to have done the first week of January. But, oh, look, it acknowledged is spelled wrong. Sorry, everybody. I just saw that
What's it?
typo. Look at KK. Anyway, I didn't do it. I'm going to blame somebody else, but I
Okay.
really did not do it.
All right.
I thought it had actually been fixed. This must be an older version of this, so I
Oh,
apologize.
well.
But anyway, so this is our sponsorship form. If you're interested in doing a sponsorship, we'd love to hear from you. We're showing you, you know, $5,000 helps us take care of 36 families for the whole year. That's not just a month. That's like for the year. So like, we kind of broke it down, you know, $600 for families for the year. You know, how much does it cost? And we've got Helping Hand and, you know, anything. And then we'll be selling tickets at the door to this event. We're working on our musicians and stuff like that. We do know it's going to be at Lost Oak Winery. It's going to be a lot of fun. So if you're interested in doing it, just email me, Jennifer@yourharvesthouse.org. Love to give you more information. I will be sending, next time I come, it will have the sponsor or the QR code and all that stuff on it. Actually, probably tomorrow it'll all be going out and our big push. But when we didn't have a place for you to donate, we didn't really want to be saying, hey, we already do have our first blessing sponsor at 5,000. So we're excited about that.
Anonymous giver.
Nope. It's,
Okay.
now I'm going to like mess up her
sorry.
Old Texas Realty Group. With Kim Malone. Yeah.
Realty group. Okay. I'm not familiar with them, but God bless them.
Kim Malone.
All right.
So yeah,
Name sounds
really
familiar, but-
great there. So anyway, this is what we have going on. It's going to be a super fun afternoon. It is always like my favorite day of the year. It's a Sunday afternoon. It is not, it's a day to come out and chill. It's not, ooh, you know, come to an event and be all crazy. No, this is a day to come out, bring your friends, drink some wine, and just enjoy the music. And we're working on some great names. I can't name them yet because they haven't signed on the dotted line.
Yeah.
But I'm really excited about it. I think it's going to be, it always is. And even last year it rained and we had to move inside and it still was a good
Well,
event.
they have that facility now.
Yeah.
Jessica's had hers, their Christmas event there about 2 years ago. And that's where she's going to be having her event also there on the 2nd. And
It's a great event. And
it's a good venue for all those things. And so
we'll have a few less vendors in the event that it does go inside. It won't be quite so crowded as last year, but we're moving it back to our normal weekend, and I'm believing it's going to be dry.
when you say vendors, you know, they're there. What are they selling their product or services there? Or
Yes.
Okay. So
but this year we're going to be, it's going to be, if you're interested, let me know, but it's going to be invitation only because we want to really make sure we're supporting small businesses that, can really use the extra hand up and stuff like that. And also just making sure we don't have a lot of duplication of vendors and stuff. Cause nobody likes to go, oh, there's 3 of this particular vendor or whatever. But if somebody is interested, you can email me also, Jennifer@yourharvesthouse.org. And we're going to be working on that this week and figuring out what we're going to do with the vendors and food trucks. We do want food trucks and stuff too. So it's going to be a great day.
So I'm just picking out a business. So is this like a business with a storefront, or is this be like a home business? Or does it?
It could be either, but
either.
it can't. It's not. It needs to be a product for sale, not a service. We're going to change that. Last year there were people with services. It just doesn't go as well, and we really want it to. We really want to highlight some folks that maybe are struggling. You can tell me offline. There's a couple we have in mind that just need a little more oomph. They're maybe new to the community. And we want to make sure that the community knows about them and that sort of thing. So,
Well, that's a really good idea though, because one thing Burleson's really good about is supporting their local businesses and small businesses.
yes.
And that's the whole point of
And
this.
you know what? During COVID, those small businesses helped us. They, you know, like everywhere from the brewery, like that was the only place we could order food if we couldn't get food in. Like, because we couldn't order it from the grocery stores, couldn't buy it from the grocery stores, but we could get it through like brewery, Lone Star Bar and Grill also did that, where we could order certain products through them, like spaghetti noodles.
Right.
Like, it was the only place we could get them. And
Right.
you don't think about it, but they help us. We continue, they continue to help us, and we really want to make sure that we thank them. And that's part of how we want to do that as appropriate.
Well, that's really good. If I think of any off the top of my head, the small businesses, most of the people that I know have small businesses, they have like a real job, so to speak. But they do this on the side. They're trying to,
Yep.
I don't know. It's like a lot of the people at the farmer's market. You go to the farmer's market and they have like, a 9 to 5, 8 to 5 job, but they also do these things on the side.
Absolutely.
And so that'd be interesting to see what's out there. I'm gonna drop on by. Does it cost for just to attend?
Yes, we haven't set the price yet.
Okay.
It's probably going to be $15. Don't quote me on that yet. Our committee is meeting this week, and we'll have that finalized by then. But
So just come by.
it's not going to be a lot. It'll be like $15
All right.
per person, and kids under 12 are free, that kind of thing.
Well, at the winery, the kids are free. I like that.
I know, right?
Yeah. Anyway,
Because they don't really probably want to be there. But there's the hiking trails, and there's the pond and all that stuff.
Yeah, it's a nice location.
It is a beautiful
The kids will be okay.
And there's tons of kids out there, and it's very fun to just,
yeah.
have them. We've had the Artistic Motion Dance Academy out there almost, I think last year was the first year we didn't. No, they did come out last year, even with the weather.
Yeah.
And we like that, because then it's just how do we make this a community event? It's not a big drinking event. It's just a really nice, family-friendly, fun event. So,
no one's going out there to get their drink on. They have walk around and look sophisticated with a glass of Chardonnay, something like that.
Something like that, yeah.
But this is like your big thing, though, in the year, right?
This is one of our big things.
Yeah, right.
Our harvest brunch will be back in the fall. And that was very fun. It's our 40th anniversary this year.
Really?
Yeah.
How about that?
It was one of those things that it was like December 30th, and we're like, one of my staff was like, it's our 40th anniversary this year. Like, okay, we're a little behind on this, but it's not even February yet. So I told my staff today, I said, if by next week we got all of our stuff and our logo complete, we're good, because it's still the beginning of the year. But yeah, it's our 40th anniversary, and it's so exciting to see where Harvest House has been and where it is now and where it's going. And I just see great things for, hopefully we can continue to be a great community partner and really make restoring families in our community a top priority. We want to always feed them and clothe them and stuff, but there's got to be more. And we do a lot with like Texas Health Euclid Hospital on the behavioral health. We've got programs to help the mental health. We've got churches that help provide community to our clients that we can refer them to, and that's continuing to grow. We're in some pilot programs with our Peace, Love, and Joy at Harvest House, where it helps us to find out from our clients, like, do you have somebody that loves you, and do you have peace in your life, and do you have joy in your life? And if not, how do we find the community for them, the kind of community they need? This right now we're working with churches and stuff, but not everybody goes to church. So eventually we're going to be finding, other kinds of communities to help make sure that people feel loved and needed and wanted and valuable, And so it's the restoration of classes, and we're just in the pilot area of this. So like, as people might, hey, I know I can do this, or I'd love to do that, bringing them in and helping people to grow. I mean, that's our future goal. And as we work on a new strategic plan this year with the board, I think that's the direction we're going to go for the most part. We're going to still feed and clothe everybody, but for those who really need it and want it, we want to be able to do other things too. But there's always going to be people who live on a fixed income that, seniors and stuff, like senior citizens and stuff, that we want to make sure we're always helping. So it's not going to change what we're doing. It's just going to hopefully make us a little bit better for those who really need it and want it.
Well, y'all do great work. And I hear every time I mention that you'll come on the show, I hear just a bunch of compliments about the quality of service and how important it is. And I mean, you have an institution of great respect here in the community, and that's a good thing.
Yeah. We're working on it, and we continue to work on it. And that's what we want, is to be transparent, so that people, if they have a concern, that they feel comfortable coming. Because there have been times, that the community has come to me and said, I had one person one time that was so upset about some things happening. I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. Well, I looked into it and it turned out it was happening, what she was talking about, and it was not okay. And we fixed it.
Okay.
But like, she's like, don't tell me you don't know. I'm like, I have no idea what you're talking about. And we were able to fix it. So we had some folks stealing from us from our resale store and reselling, and I didn't know. And so,
Really?
yeah, so we were able to change our processes and policies in order to fix it. So, and it did. It fixed it immediately once we were aware of it. So, like, yeah, we aren't always perfect, but sometimes it's just there's so much happening at Harvest House. Don't assume we know.
Yeah. Well, let's shift gears and talk about Legal
Yeah,
Shield.
love to.
Did you send Taylor anything?
I did.
Okay.
He has you got it right.
Yeah. I haven't hey, don't give me that.
Uh-oh. I sent him a PowerPoint last night.
Oh, well, he's looking that up. Tell us how you got involved in Legal Shield and what Legal Shield is.
Okay, so Legal Shield is prepaid legal services. It is, hold on a second. It came from my woods.gen.
I see now.
Okay.
One second.
And it is, so I had heard about it forever in one of my networking groups through Bruce Nelson. And a couple years ago, I signed up, never did anything with it. I just had it. But he always talked about having lawyers, accessible if you need it, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, great. Well, then it came time for my parents. So I was telling you, I think I said it live, I went through a lot in the last couple of years. After my mom passed away, I started really going, wow, my dad and my stepmom are in Alaska, and I need to see if their affairs are in order. So we signed them up for Legal Shield. And a lot of you know that I've been traveling to Alaska a lot over the last couple of years, and that's what I've been doing. I was getting their will done, and man, they would drag their feet, and I could barely get them to do anything. And so finally got all the final papers notarized and everything on January 3rd. And my dad died suddenly July 5th. And with the will, so it's prepaid legal services. For the basic family thing, it's $29.95 a month. So it was worth it.
Oh, so they pay this $29.95, and it's kind of like you're on retainer almost.
Yeah, it
Okay.
is. So you basically have lawyers on retainer.
Yeah.
And so for the $29.95, the things that I signed up for, I mean, there's way more than
there you
this.
go.
Yeah, there's my thing. But we got the will, we got the power of attorney, we got the healthcare directive, and all of the things that you need when somebody falls ill. And so we got that done. And so when my dad passed away, I mean, since September of 22, I've been taking care of my stepmom, who was supposed to. The doctors wanted her to enter hospice September of 22, and she didn't. She did end up entering on December of 22. Okay, so during those 4 months, I had the power of attorney. No, I didn't have the power of attorney yet. So I'm trying to help her with her life insurance and health insurance and stuff. So once she finally got in hospice, we finally got the papers done. I was able, for the next 8 months, manage her estate, manage her life, even from afar. But without it, nobody would talk to you. Doctors won't talk to you. Life insurance won't talk to you. So as she's in hospice and grieving my father, I was able to take on taking care of her, where before, otherwise I would have, if I didn't have the power of attorney, she would have had to been dealing with this all by herself. So instead of her having to get on phone calls and saying stuff, I just email people and say, now I'm your person. And it's been a lifesaver. I think I almost was able to avoid probate. But the other side of it is people don't realize, so preparing for the unexpected, I had asked them, do you have your beneficiary set? Do you have all that stuff? Well, they didn't have it done right. And so now I'm running into issues. So my dad had only put my stepmom as his beneficiary. So once she passed, I'll have to go to probate for those things. But now I'm working with a lawyer that I've already got prepaid services with to help me through probate.
So it's a lawyer through Legal Shield.
It's a lawyer through
So
Legal Shield.
do they work for Legal Shield, or they like have their own practices?
No, so it's
All right.
so like here in Fort Worth, it's Ross and Matthews in Fort Worth. I am working with a lawyer group out of Alaska. So it's a national and international program. So my Legal Shield is talking to that Legal Shield, and they work together. So no matter where you are, because in Canada or in the United States, there's an app that like, hey, let's say I'm in Iowa and I get pulled over, and somebody thinks I did something. I can call a lawyer from my app 24/7. There's somebody on their 800 line. So it's not just here in Texas, but even, my daughter's just about to start driving. So
That's
she gets
good
a
luck with
ticket.
that.
So, speeding tickets, they cover so many things. But the reason I got started, and if you want to go to the next slide.
Well, he needs to show this on the camera.
Okay.
If you would back
I
up.
have that also at the end too.
Okay, good. All right.
But, so here's things of why to have Legal Shield. And you're buying or selling a home. They'll look at any contract you have, a house, anything you want to sign. Because a lot of time, this is what I learned recently from Jack Matson, he's kind of my mentor with Legal
Jack's
Shield.
been on the show for Toys for Tots a couple times.
But he's also a Legal Shield independent associate, and he is my mentor. And he's just talking about, like, have you ever had your car contract looked at? Because there's all kinds of things that we pay for that we don't realize that a lawyer can say, nope, nope, nope. I'm like, I didn't know that. So even since I have become an associate, I'm learning how if you have a lawyer look over any contract you're going to sign, they can help protect you and make sure that you're not,
Could they help you? You talk about traffic tickets and what. Let's say I've been charged with, a grand larceny or something like that, and they can handle any case.
They can. And so it's prepaid. So if you have when we get to the bottom of the presentation, there's one on them representing you and stuff like that. So let's just stop here for a second. So your car's repossessed, you're injured in a car accident. Here's a good one. So your dog barks like crazy and your neighbors get all mad. Dealing with an HOA, all those things are things that you can do. So there's a good one there. The landlord enters your apartment without permission. Things that your everyday things that you might skip talking to a lawyer about because it's too expensive, but you might need it. So an uncontested divorce, which I didn't know some things. So I have a friend who's getting divorced, and an email cost $50. And all these things, like just to get on the phone with them was like $40, and an actual meeting was like $300. And so with this, it's as long as it's an uncontested divorce, it's under the $29.95. And they will handle all those things. Your emails won't cost anything extra. It's all part of that.
Well, several years ago, Robin and I took care of all the stuff you're talking about, and it cost me a few $100s to get it all done. Which I thought was fine because that actually I was getting the attorney that handled it was a former student, and she was giving me the Mr. Allard break, I guess.
Got it.
But and she did a great job. But as far as what you're talking about, $29.95. I mean, you're talking about several hundred to thousands of dollars of service for what, $30 a month? I mean, is there like, okay, I paid $29.95. Is there a bill coming later for these kind of services?
No, not unless they represent you. And you would know that ahead of time. There's a few things that there are slight stipulations on, but it's all communicated ahead of time, and it kind of explains it a little bit further down. But the will, you can have it updated every year for no extra cost than your membership. If you want to go to the next slide. He's in there like looking at his phone. I'm just kidding.
Yeah,
just kidding,
right?
Taylor. It's okay. It's okay.
Okay.
We're gonna go.
He's gonna mute you.
I love it. All right, well, you just go straight to the next one because this is why you should have a Legal Shield. Also, so like a lot of people have blended families,
Right.
and that's a whole legal nightmare, or potentially could be if there's not stuff in order. And that's where they actually will help you navigate the challenges of a blended family. And I was just talking to a friend last night, and they both had lost their spouses, got married, so what happens when one of the spouses dies? Who gets the money? Is it the kids? Is it the spouse? Is it all these things can be written out. Making sure you have a power of attorney, who's going to represent, and making a lot of this really helps just communication with families too. So when my mom was sick, she just was determined she wasn't going to die. So we didn't talk about stuff, but she had her affairs in order, thankfully. So I didn't have to, but like a lot of people just feel like when they get sick, my stepmom kind of got the same way. Like, I'm going to live forever. I'm going to beat this. And we want them to have that attitude. We want them to have that I'm going to live forever attitude. But the reality is a lot of times they're not.
Right.
And so if you can get this done before you're sick, like I know on my power of attorney, there's things you can select. Like you get power of attorney when I can no longer, or right now, or over my finances, or over my health. I mean, you can check what's applicable.
I'm just trying to get my head wrapped around this. It's $29.95 a month.
Yes.
And you talk about divorces. I mean, that old joke, why is divorce so expensive? Because it's worth it. And
I've never heard that one.
Yeah, but it's at the very least it's $2,000-$3,000. That's if you're doing it the easiest way possible.
Right. And this is, like I said, it is uncontested divorces because they do have, like, if you need to be represented in court, they have a whole different thing that's a little bit more every month that helps prevent that. But no matter what, you will never pay full price for the lawyers.
Okay.
And I think so. Even if there are fees for different things, because there are things like if you're going to court, that's a lot extra.
Yes, it is.
But you're never going to pay the full price.
Well, also thinking about, you talking about representation in criminal matters as well. You were talking about tickets and whatnot. Well, most of the time that's a pretty easy thing to take care of one way or the other. But if you're, accused of some sort of a higher level, felony or something like that, surely that's going to be more, but not as much as it would be. Because I also know that, being defended in court can be an expensive process. I had a family friend that had to defend another family member in court, pay for that, and it was pretty expensive.
Yeah, I have a friend who I think paid $10,000 or more for somebody to be represented.
Yeah.
But the trial defense supplement is another $15 a month.
$15 a month. What a deal.
I know, but and that's consumer debts, property, civil action. So everything, I mean, it specifies what, I think criminal defense is kind of different because it's a whole different level.
It is.
But it's tight. But even still, that's what they're talking about. You never pay full price, even though, so is absolutely everything covered? Most things are covered, most things that you and I are going to need. Let's put it that way, because most of us hopefully aren't going to be needing criminal defense and things like that, but things happen in life.
Well, I can imagine, you're talking about most of the stuff that we would deal with, hopefully, is the stuff you deal with in municipal court or a JP.
Yep.
And that kind of thing, just small petty things, let's hope.
But it can be so expensive if you're having problems with neighbors and you're having problems with your HOA. I mean, that's a great one to consider. Somebody called me and, they didn't end up doing this, but I think she realized she had it through her husband's work. And a lot of businesses have Legal Shield. A lot of lawyers have Legal Shield. Like, they can't sell it, but they, I mean, there's just all, like, they support it. And it's really interesting. Like, and everybody's like, oh, well, I had this horrible experience. I'm like, guess what? Every doctor, every field, somebody's going to have a bad experience because we're dealing with people. Okay. So it can happen. But in that case, so like somebody called me the other day, they were having an issue. I said, if you don't get it resolved, call me, because then I can call and find out what's going on. I think it was like a billing matter or something like that. But, every business makes mistakes. So it's just, and but this gives you an access that you would not have. And I'm telling you, if you only use it for the will and all of that.
Well, you made money. Yeah, you saved a lot of money.
You saved a lot of money. And you, as a child, you save so much heartache. I mean, I cannot, like, going through all of this with my parents has been so hard. I mean, it's emotionally hard, but then you're like dealing with, so my dad's life insurance, which ends up being federal government because he was a veteran, my stepmom's annuity, her life insurance, there's all these people you have to talk to. And so just with them, those are 4, but then you have all their vehicles. I was able, with the power of attorney, to get, after my dad passed in July, I was able to go to the DMV and get all of their vehicles, boats, everything put in mine and my brother's name. Just boom, done. And I just had to pay for the processing fee. We were able, with this, and my stepmom was still alive, so she was able to help me with it, but we were able to do a quit deed on the house. So the property's in ours. So we should have been able to avoid probate, but my dad was a veteran. And so that's a whole nother thing I'm going to be learning about, is how to help with veterans, because this is where you need to have your beneficiaries also listed, because since I wasn't listed on it, the federal government does not look at wills and power of attorney, because that's a state level thing. I didn't know that. I mean, I learned something too. But this helps you and causes you to get your affairs in order. Like, do you have kids? What's going to happen to your kids if something happens to you? People just get caught up in so much that it's just not necessary. This is seriously like a 1 hour thing. You send it in, they fill it out, they come back, you get it notarized, it's done. Put it in a safe place.
How did you get connected with this group, and how do you provide or get connected to customers is the best way to put it?
Things like this. I am starting, and I'm really not doing this to just make a bunch of money.
Well, yeah. I mean,
yes, I'll make some money off it. I'm just being transparent, but that's not why. I mean, going through what I've been going through this last couple of years, I'm just like, what if I wasn't prepared? And I just think people don't think about it, because you're like, I'm young and healthy. You know, I'm 50, my husband's 56. You know, we need to be thinking about this when we first had kids, we should have gotten a will. What if something would have happened to us?
Right.
Like, we travel.
Yeah. We lived it long. My kids were in college age when we finally said, we better quit messing around, because we had a family member pass away, and they did not take care of these things, and it was a mess.
It is a mess.
And it was supposed to be, and there was no conflicts in the family. It wasn't like there were disputes over the property. It wasn't notarized.
And it doesn't matter. I mean, like, if it is not done, you've got probate, and probate is long. And I'm asking anybody who prays, just pray for this thing I got to do with my dad, because it should be small estate probate, because we're just talking about his life insurance, and that's it. They won't even talk to me. It could be $20,000. It could be $5,000. I have no idea how much it is. And I'm just like, but I'm going to have to go through some sort of probate process.
And spend money to do it.
And well, that's why I'm hoping Legal Shield's going to help cover me on that. So it's not going to be a bunch extra. So
there you go.
I mean, but if you'd have to do full probate, I mean, I have friends who've been like, yeah, it took us 2 years, because you have to like put ads in papers, and there's so much to it. And this at least gets you thinking about what you need to do. And I don't care if you're single. Let's say Taylor, you're single, right?
Well, you can go ahead and pretend I'm single. My wife often
Taylor,
does.
you're single, right?
If I don't straighten up, I might be a good example for you soon.
Well, okay. So
I'm not married.
Okay, that's what I'm asking for. So let's say something happens to Taylor. It's not going to, Taylor, but let's just say something happens. I know. Taylor, who's going to be able to take care of anything that's yours?
That's a good question.
Nobody, because nobody has power of attorney for you. Your parents don't have legal anything over you. Any girlfriend or whatever has no legal right to talk to you. So without a power of attorney, without your healthcare directive, I mean, they're going to have to fight to help you. If you have any money in a bank account, if you have your car, all those things, somebody's going to have to deal with it, and it's most likely going to create probate.
Well, Taylor's put me down as his beneficiary.
Oh, he can put me down too.
Yeah.
But you don't think about it.
I'll get the Tesla.
Yeah.
That'd be about right.
But I'm just saying, those are just the things that, you don't think about. You're single, you're young, you're healthy, but what happens? Who can talk to the doctors about your care? Who has that right? And if nobody does, it can be a real challenging thing. So it's just something you need to think about, whether you're single, whether my dad and my stepmom were 70. My dad was 73 when he passed, and my stepmom was 71. So they're still very young. It was I think that's very young.
Well, it's younger than, my parents are in their 80s.
Yeah.
And
so
they took care of all this. Exactly what time my dad had something called a bucket list, which is not so much, like things he wants to do. It's for kick the bucket. And so there's a folder he has for my sister and I.
Yep.
All the passwords, who to call, all the account numbers, on and on and on.
Well, that's the other thing. I was asking for that stuff and I didn't get it. But you know what? With my power of attorney, well, once they pass away, the power of attorney goes away. But so that's why you need to be stated in the will that you're the personal representative, because then you can talk to people, because without that, because while they're alive, the power of attorney works. Once they pass away, the will has to kick in. And it doesn't work for everything, but I mean, that helps when you're going to talk to people to say, hey.
Sherry Scott says we did a ladybird deed for my mom.
That's great.
I don't even know what's a ladybird deed.
I am not totally familiar with the stuff in Texas because I've been dealing with Alaska, but I believe that it goes directly to the family after that. Is that correct, Sherry?
Oh, yeah, she'll respond.
Yeah, I know.
But I'm just thinking. You said you've been doing this for 2 years now.
A year and a half.
Year and a half, right? But I haven't never heard about you being involved in this, and really to the last month or so. So I guess you're now.
Well, I was not selling Legal Shield. I was using Legal Shield. I was a client of Legal Shield, and then once this kind of went, I'm like, why am I not doing this? Because I'm telling everybody, you got to do this. And I'm like, so at least it gives me an option. I'm like, here, go to this link and you can sign up for it. I'm just seeing how much time I have.
We got, I got 10 minutes. You why don't you give us your
so there it goes to whoever is designated to.
Okay.
But a couple other things that Legal Shield does that's important, and I think it's the next slide, Taylor. So they also have ID Shield. I'm going to have you, because of our time, I'm just going to have you go to the next one.
We're going to get you on the show again soon.
Yeah. But this is really cool. So ID Shield is separate. So you have Legal Shield that is for your will and all that stuff. But ID Shield is something that protects your identity. One of the things that I thought was really cool about it is that if you have ID Shield, they give you a VPN proxy for yourself. So like if you're ever out at Starbucks or wherever, you're on VPN, which if you don't know what that is, don't tell me. What does it stand for, Taylor?
Virtual private network.
Yeah, private network. Yeah. So I know what it does, but no one, then you're safer that it's less easy for them to hack you. So like if you're at Starbucks and you're on your cell phone, people can hack you because it's not a secure network. So with the ID Shield membership, I mean, it does a whole lot more. And if anybody wants any of these documents, I'd be happy to send them to you to look at. But they do reputation management, reputation score. They do $3 million identity fraud protection, restoration of if you do get identity theft. They have a password manager so that you can safely save your passwords, because none of us can remember. And then we write them down on a piece of paper or we put them somewhere that's not safe. There's a lot of features on that. If you go to the next slide. So the other thing is, if you're a gun owner, because you have rights and protections, it's getting harder and harder as the world goes on. But if something would happen, somebody breaks into your house, you end up using your firearm, or if you're hunting and, all kinds of things related to carrying a gun, Legal Shield has a specific program just for that. None of the programs are expensive, but they do add on to your basic membership. And there's also, if you go one more, I think it's one more, maybe two more. So the next one is the trial defense. Oh, I guess I missed one. So I may have deleted it because I deleted a couple slides, but one of them is small business. So if you're a small business owner, it can protect you. Like you can get contracts like they have. So Taylor does videography and stuff. They already have the contracts written out to protect you from, if you're doing, hey, I'm going to do a wedding for you or whatever. They also have a whole thing on weddings. There's so much that they have. But the small business one is great. My husband has that. He's a videographer. And it just protects him. It, releases for photos, things like that, that you might need. Mm-hmm. And then the final thing that 15 ways safe. So they also have their membership perks, which like hotel discounts and theme park discounts, things like that. It's just part of the membership as well. So
theme park discounts. That's interesting.
Yeah. You want to go to that, right? Electronics, kitchen stuff. I mean, there's just a whole bunch of stuff that there's a lot of discounts, and some of them are relevant, some aren't, depending on who you are, but they're really good. And I forgot to put my Legal Shield email on here, but that's my website. You can go on there and look at information. You can go there directly to sign up. My email for it is jenniferwoods549ls@gmail.com, because I did forget to put it on there.
Well, we'll give you another opportunity. Certainly,
Yeah, that's great.
After the show, I am filling up the dates pretty quick for the election season. So,
I bet. That's good.
so but I have you down already for the end of February.
Yeah, that's good.
So if we could get you maybe in for Legal Shield again, because that's just very important. There's a lot of people that say, "Well, I can't afford an attorney," and
I definitely can.
well, and they think, well, okay, and this is a situation I need to be taken care of, but and they go online. And maybe you could take care of it there, but you never really know what you're doing. It's like me in that technology story I had earlier. I just was noodling around, and if I did this all on my own online, I could leave a lot of things undone that I didn't know I needed to do that. And
that's it. And so for certain things, it just lays it out for you. I mean, once I signed up for my husband's small business, because, we're hoping that we're going to be able to rent out a house, and when that happens, it's like, okay, well, they have rental contracts. I mean, so many of the things that I would have to do, they already have, and it's not going to break my bank, because I still haven't gotten money from my parents' estate. I mean, there's still so much. So all of this stuff I'm having to do just on my own. So having Legal Shield there, something I've already paid for, is helping me get those funds. I've gotten some of them, but there's still, I'm not saying there's going to be a lot of money. I don't even know what it is. So I can't be spending a bunch of money out of my own pocket. And that's what, as a parent, if you can get your stuff in order, it's going to help your kids when you're gone. People are like, oh, you can deal with, I've heard people say, oh, my kids can deal with it later. It's not funny. It's not a joke, because even with everything in order, it is so stressful, because you're reeling with the loss of your loved one. And you don't know what you're doing, because you probably haven't done it before, and I had two parents die at the same time. So I'm dealing with two separate things. And, one died 2 months after, but there was a delay in getting the death certificate. So that's a whole nother thing, because there's funds that she should be getting because she was still alive. And had we gotten the death certificate earlier, we would have gotten certain funds. But so that's what I'm having to go back and prove. But then it goes to her estate. So you have to have an estate set up. It's just a lot. So I just don't want people to go through it unarmed.
Okay, so somebody hears this, how can they get a hold of you? Do you have a phone number, or should they just look you up on your website?
Well, that's us. So just my phone number is 817-689-7970. Please do not prank call me. But the email is jenniferwoods549ls@gmail.com. I forgot to put it on here. That's what I was. So it's everything up to here, Taylor. ls@gmail.com.
Well, send us the phone number and the website and all the contact information, and I'll throw it up on. Well, tomorrow I'm going to have Matthew Lucci on, who's running for Congress against Roger Williams. So I don't know.
Oh, interesting.
So I might be able to get on there, but I can do it Thursday. Just throw it up there. Say, hey, this is the information from Monday. So get
that'd be great.
And we'll, like I said, you'll be on again. We can talk about this some more, because I found that incredible that $29.95 could save you a lot of grief. Is there, when you sign up, is there a mandatory signing period, like a year or anything?
Nope.
It's just a month.
So if you get your will done and then you're like, man, I want to be done with it, you can be. So you might end up paying $60, but I think what I found is once I got it, I was like, I think I'm going to hang on to this, because it just is helpful. I mean, we've gotten speeding tickets before, and then you have to pay for a lawyer. Well, it's already done. You just send it to them and they can help take care of it.
Yeah, what a deal. Well, I appreciate this information, and then also the information about Harvest House. Taylor, will you throw up that Live Oak business one more time, just so we can... Lost Oak. Live Oak is something else. Lost Oak. Sorry. And so this is, if you want to sponsor, there's a lot of sponsorship availability here.
Yep.
Obviously, we know what kind of cause we're supporting here.
And it's Jennifer@yourharvesthouse.org. You can just email me, and I will get you to the right people.
Well, I will throw this up there when it gets closer and you get all the information, like we're doing for Jessica. We'll throw it up there like the month before and put it in the ad rotation. Tomorrow, like I mentioned, I have Matthew Lucci, who's running against Roger Williams. I've got a lot of questions for him, and I hope y'all do too. So
I'm really interested, because I've heard Roger speak recently. He came to Rotary, so that'll be good.
Well, and I don't know much about Roger. I don't have any issues or ideas about him, but it's interesting. I want to find out why this gentleman
100%
wants to take him on, because incumbents are hard. Thursday I'm working on one, so but it may be open day. But I had somebody said, "Let me get back to you this afternoon," kind of thing. So I don't want to
Great.
promote them on the show if they can't make it. But next week on Monday, I have Tim Good, who's running for district attorney in the Republican primary, and then Dale Hanna will come on about 10 days later.
Cool.
Tentatively on the 8th. I think that's going to happen.
It is definitely.
It's election season. And also I have Victoria and Dan and Alexa Boddicker all on next month. So I'm really excited. Election season, things book up pretty quick.
Cool.
Yeah,
You're going to have Trump on?
I don't know. He's so busy. Maybe if I get a Zoom call and maybe get Donald on there. Yeah, sure, whatever. Anyway, so. We'll see y'all tomorrow. So, yeah, if you have questions for Mr. Lucci, I'll see you then.
All right, sounds good.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.